Hello there, my name is Rebekah Awuahand, and this is another edition of the Reporters Roundtable. Today, we are having an exclusive with the former President of the Republic of Ghana. He's in the person of His Excellency John Agyekum Kufour. He was President of this Republic between 2000 and 2008. We'll be interacting with him so that we find out about life after the presidency, what he has been up to, and we'll also tease out from him some few national issues. Thank you very much.
Welcome, Rebekah. Welcome.
Thank you. Let me find out from you, how has life been after the presidency?
I'm a happy man with a happy family. We want to live in peace, and but we can friendship with all comers. So it's been good, very eventful, not only in Ghana. I've traveled the world since retirement or stepping down as president, because perhaps I'm not retired. And I've traveled, not sorts of gallivanting, no, with a purpose and on invitation from the United Nations, from international organizations like some NGOs on sanitation and water for all, based in Washington, from another group based in Switzerland called Interpeace, from a group called Global Citizenship, and with people invited from around the world to review the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, because we believe in the global village, to see how the world, riding the United Nations and acknowledging and deploying the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, how the nations of the world are being true to these institutions to help bring up the centrality of the human being with dignity, all over, whether you are red, black, gold, green. Once you are human, you should be entitled to a measure of dignity. So anywhere and everywhere around the world, you can move with your chest out.
Right, but do you have any fond memories of being a president of Ghana?
Oh, many fond memories. But I tell you, I cherish every minute of presidency, but I do not regret finishing my term. I do not hanker after power. I do not want to go and impose myself on people and ride them like I'm their overlord. No, I was just happy to have been given the chance to serve my people, my nation. So I love every minute, all the challenges, ups and downs of them. I count myself very privileged to have been given the chance.
Right, but we've been here for some time now, and I see that there are a number of people who come in here. It's been like 9 years after you've been out of government, let me say it that way. But how are you able to manage all these people with your daily work and all the people you have to attend?
This is my life. I was born to serve. And for as long as there's life in me and strength, I believe this is my lot, and I have to live with it. It happens everywhere I go. People just flock to me. And I love interacting with people generally. I know some people would want to take undue advantage. I sense it, and when I sense it, I cut off as quickly as I can. But if people are on the level with me, why not? Whoever they are, I'm happy with them.
Right. Let's come to the issues of your foundation.
Yeah.
The J.E.A Foundation.
Yes.
How is it doing now?
Still in its infancy, I should say. But the idea is to let our youth, and when I say our youth, I'm not limiting it to Ghana, the youth of Africa generally, appreciate that leadership is the key to the transformation we want. We all want development. Everybody wants a bit of the good life. especially in this scientific technological age, where you sit here and you see how people are living in the Americas, in Europe, in Asia, and you look around us, and it's like hopelessness and helplessness, even though we have got all the natural resources. The others envy us so much. We have so much natural resource, whether it's land, fertile lands, whether it's mineral ores. We've got some very fine human beings, but somehow we don't seem to be able to husband these resources to bring out the wealth with which we, for instance, give ourselves the social interventions like good education, healthcare, good infrastructure, energy. We talk of them and all these things. When we have water courses, we have everything, and yet we are not happy. And through my experiences, I found that it's because perhaps we haven't looked at leadership well. Because I believe you get the right leader, then you would get good governance. And it's through good governance that is inclusive that you would get the development that will transform. So when I stepped down as president, I said, the legacy you must leave should be to talk of leadership, the type, quality leadership that will yield the quality governance. A governance of transparency, genuine openness, and accountability. And governance that would be inclusive. Let everybody feel they also count. After all, our constitution says sovereignty is with the people. And if the people are sovereign, how come there are some who would want to posture like they are the overlords and their word must be law? They are above the law. No. So look at leadership well. But leadership doesn't come easy. It must be nurtured. So I said, look at the youth, especially those who are being given opportunity of high education in the university campuses. They should appreciate this critical quality so they learn it. They become humble. They become like missionaries. The missionaries who came to places to die, they knew where they were going, very likely they would die. But then they felt driven by the vision that it is through their service that the generality of mankind might be liberated. So go there, let the youth prepare themselves. Wherever they find themselves in the universities, get them to feel that for every one of them, perhaps 1 million of their cousins are in the villages, suffering diseases, poverty, and all sort of indignities. So they will prepare themselves when they finish their studies to go out. You don't need to be a politician. Whatever field you are in, you must feel driven to perform your role to help uplift your community. So the benefit you've had would be spread to others. And with that, we'll all move ahead. And of course, if you are, say, you go into governance then, and you are formulating policies, and this is what should drive you. How do you get your people to that higher level? So even those who are not so privileged or who might be handicapped, you fix the safety nets to bring them up, to share in that. You remove the bigotries and prejudices and that sort of thing. So the humanity is the most critical thing. Not religion, they are all secondary to humanity. Religion is for man, not man for religion.
Right. We hear you are constructing a lecture hall.
Lecture hall?
Yeah.
Not lecture hall, mentoring.
A mentoring hall, actually.
Center.
Yeah.
This is what we're trying to, Legon has given me a piece of land. I'm trying to get the resources to do it. And I'm a Kumasi man. So,
is that to say you haven't started?
I started the Kumasi one. Legon 1, 2, we are about to do it. Kumasi, we've gone some way, but And this is why I say we are still in infancy, trying to solicit help from all sides to try to complete for the youth. Anybody who passes, and you see the universities are catchment areas. You have Nigerians, you have Equatorial Guinea, people are coming from all over, and I wanted them to see with the right leadership, the world, truly the global village might be realized.
All right, serving through the net on your foundation, I found one catchy phrase that I would want to put to you so that we tease your answers on that. It reads, unless you transform the lives of the ordinary people, you cannot hope to transform Africa.
It's true.
That is very deep.
Oh, do you know the history of Africa, Black Africa? For at least 600 years, we've been under the jackboots of people from all over, were transported across the oceans into slavery to build other continents. The Americas, we know. Europe, the wealth of Europe, I would say perhaps more than 50% of it was taken on the backs of blacks. They came to colonize us, they sold us into slavery and then colonized us, and then made us feel we didn't have culture. Affected our psyche in a way, our spirits. So even as we sit here, it's not our language we are using. Now, if you are talking of cuisine, if you are talking of fashion, look, I hope it's not natural hair. Your natural hair on top.
My natural hair is on top, actually.
Are you sure this is your hair? We are having to import the hairs of dead people from India, Brazil, so forth, with hard currency we don't have, just to beautify you. Whereas we have real natural beauty. But we've been so affected by all these people. I'm saying, let's look at ourselves. We have got natural beauty here. We've got everything here. But the trouble is when the Europeans left us and our own kith and kin took over as governors, they treated us even worse than the Europeans treated us. And I'm saying, unless, if we really want to transform Africa, unless we rediscovered ourselves, put back into us the dignity that we are entitled to as humans, the dignity that would make us strive to do things for ourselves without always having to look across to Europe or this thing. Unless we do that, then Africa will not be transformed. Africa would be like a reservoir that the other people come to exploit from and leave the humans here weak and helpless. So I want to say, those who talk revolutions and things here, if their true intent is to help Africa, then they must respect us, to make us have that self-respect, the dignity without which we just wouldn't be confident to strike out and stand shoulder to shoulder with the other peoples. I'm not a racist. I believe very much in the global village of humanity, where once human, we are universal. We respect each other for our individual qualities. I respect you. Not until you show me that you are not deserving of my respect, I respect you. We may differ in thoughts, in outlooks, but once I sense you believe in yourself, you have that self-confidence, I tell you, I'm with you, whether you are red, blue, black. Perhaps that's what has helped me to move around the world so easily. Everywhere, no other continents. And everywhere, generally, I felt well received. I give, and I'm given.
Great. On the tangent of believing in ourselves and redefining ourselves, now March has been set aside as a Heritage Week or Heritage Month, where we celebrate Ghanaian stuffs made in Ghana, buy our own, patronize our own. Do you think setting aside a month for us to buy our own and
Well,
recognize our own enough?
in many a time, tokenism helps. See, there's overpopulation now. We are multiplying so much. So people do not get the time and space and the economy to go leisurely like used to be the case. So we must use, if you like, mass production to do things. And because of that, tokenism counts. Advertisements. The Friday Wear was introduced during my tenure of presidency, and the whole idea was to use our local textiles rather than going to work with tie and like used to be the case. So we said, Fridays, please, let's don off the ties and suits, go like in this thing, perhaps a Kosombo textile, and let us remind ourselves that bit by bit, we may also be able to do it. And so for that, it's easier to get the masses to share in the vision with such tokenism. So it counts for us to do the heritage things. But I tell you, the more important thing is the thinking, the thought, the self-knowledge, self-assessment. This thing is just to draw you to yourself to see that why in this seat should you always put on the tie and suits?
Right. What would you want to be remembered for?
I believe in humanity so much. I love history, so I try to know it from as far back as I can. And I see that, and this is why, for instance, I'm a Christian. I found that even with the great thoughts that happened in Asia, around the Mediterranean, the Greeks, the Romans, and then Europe, and coming here to grade schools, somehow humanity didn't treat itself well. When, say, one got stronger than others, one bullied, subjugated the others, and one made oneself the emperor, or when one thought higher, then one looked down on the others. Christianity came about, and even though the Jews saw themselves as the chosen of God, so they were a race set apart. Jesus told them they were all the children of that one God. Jew, Gentiles, to him. And somehow this man didn't use sword, didn't conquer, it was only once he used some whip to drive out merchants trading in the temple. Young man, he died 33 years. See where his word has carried the world. Wafted through Europe, descended on Africa, the Americas, now Asia. And more people are beginning to see the golden principle is treating yourself as you, treating others as you would they treat you. That's humanity. That's what. So with great learning, with science, with technology, with good governance, my hope is that we all become like princes and princesses. We treat each other well in a world. We are still far away from attaining the beauty that must come, but we seem to be on the right direction.
Right, but what do you make of the news or the reports around when you hear about that you are being reported dead, but here you are hale and hearty, going about your normal business and all of that? How does that make you feel?
Well, when I hear people indulge in loose talk, it's also part of life. So let them talk. Know yourself, know who you are. I'm happy in my home. My children, my grandchildren, my friends. So if you want to sit someplace to speculate on Kufuor's demise, that's your trouble. I do not allow myself to be depressed or anything like that.
Right, okay. So this is an interaction with former President John Agyekum Kufuor. We are here in his residence. We'll go for a quick break, and when we come back, we'll talk to him about some national issues and find out his thoughts. Stay with us. Right, welcome back to the Reporters Roundtable. We are still here in the residence of former President Kufuor. Right, let's talk about corruption.
Yeah.
What would you profess to be the panacea to tackling that issue, especially in Ghana?
You are talking panacea. Panacea is a cure-all, eradicate. I'm a pragmatist. The other word for corruption is decay. We are born fresh, we grow, and we decay. So it's perhaps a big issue that we must look at. For a society to organize itself and govern itself well, in a society that is free, I do not accept imposition. The Constitution talks of sovereignty being with the people, meaning democracy should be the principle of governance. Because we are so many, we have to use representative government and governance. You give the office of, say, president or minister or whatever to anybody, say even a manager of some corporation, and you do not have a regulatory mechanism to ensure that whatever is entrusted to such a person for governance is accounted for within the law, the framework of law. You do not check that the governance, which is for the people, is transparent. You cover up things too much. Very likely, human beings being who we are, we tend to be acquisitive too. Very likely, before you know, such a person will be cutting corners, feathering his nest, and to the disadvantage of. So our Constitution has it all. Principles supporting Constitution, transparency and accountability. Fix these places. But then you need the institutions to use to enforce the transparency and accountability. We've got institutions like Parliament, the checks and balances thing. I do not like the hybrid system we have where ministers sit in the legislature. There should be the executive of president and his ministers who formulate policies and take the formulation, the policies to Parliament, the representatives of the rest of people to sieve and sift, see whether these policies we want to make laws for us, they really would serve the general interest of the people. So Parliament should be the watchdog over the executive. And then we have the judiciary, which is there like the institution, not supervisory, it should be there to ensure that the president, the legislature, everybody operates within the letter and spirit of the Constitution for the good of the people at large. And for that reason, it is the one institution that is vested to tell us what the Constitution really wants to tell us. What Constitution should be an organism, a living, because it captures our spirit, our ideas. The sovereignty that we have is what we've transposed into the Constitution to define government and our roles within the polity. So that's true, and this is why the judges should be there. The executive would formulate and also implement, once the laws are made by the legislature, implement. Through the implementation, the executive must have the law enforcement agencies, the military, the police, the whatnots. Again, the executive runs the ministries, employment, contracts. So you get a minister whose signature to fix a road might make a contractor a millionaire. You put the minister there in office to do this very big work, thinking of laying roads to open the country. And he gives contracts, perhaps through tendering, procurement and all that. But what it means is once he signs for the contractor who is competent and selected through tender to do the work, the contractor as a private sector businessman would make a fortune. That's what business is for, to make profits. And then the ministers take home, minister with wife, children and all that. 4,000 Ghana cedis, 6,000 Ghana cedis, 10,000 Ghana cedis. Given the cost of living, with a wife, with home to cater for, extended family systems, very likely this minister would go behind scenes and tell contractor, hey, my friend, this contract we've been given is about $1 million or so. I know your margin for profit might be 25%. What do you do for me? My pay is only 10,000 Ghana cedis.
In fact, are you saying that we should take care of our workforce well so that we can...
The pay system, the incentives for everybody to play their role. I'm not saying the minister should be given the profits of, but don't you think it's outrageous that the man with the pen to sign the contract for the person to go and work to become millionaire gets such a pay? What I'm trying to say is we haven't really sat back to look at human nature and social demands. We haven't sought a balance, a fair balance that would make the minister, the manager, whoever has something that seems a privileged position, focus on his work to do it without going behind the scenes to do unacceptable things. Corruption is bad. It distorts. We must fight it, but we must not fight it with slogans. We must sit back and see, look, so much is entrusted to this man to oversee such and such a work. How do we ensure that he is taken care of reasonably, comfortably, without him wanting to go behind scenes to compromise? Because immediately you begin to take from the contractor, he too finds ways and means to overload, to maintain his 25% profits. You get me? It's a very convoluted, complex thing. And we talk too much corruption, which destroys, without really seeking to define it and working in such a way that people are just happy to stay in their lane and do the work they are paid to do efficiently and well, taking reasonable pay for that without their wanting to reach out. Unless that person happens to be a naturally greedy person. I believe the naturally greedy person really is the dangerous one. And if we would work to isolate the naturally greedy and then seek a balance, pay the minister well, let the contractor who took his risks, borrowed at his own risk, also keep his profits. And before you know, things are working. But we don't take time to look at these things. In fact, we are becoming like a nation of hypocrites. We don't want to know the truth, and we can't talk about the truth. Or we say corrupt. Politicians are corrupt. We leave out the civil servants. The civil servants might even be smarter than the politicians in this regard. And then the contractor who would come slavishly fawning, immediately he gets his money, he too runs away. And then before you know, they'll be taking the monies out, building palaces in places that we don't want to talk about, outside Ghana. So I think we must sit tight and just be realistic. Get to work from our knowledge of humanity.
Right. Right. How about the issue of sanitation and energy crisis? How do we get Ghana to become an industrial hub or a tourism hub where we haven't tackled these issues?
Sanitation, I talked of the well-being of the human individual, starting with nutrition. If say, our pregnant wives and mothers, we do not feed them the right balance of food, we do not give them the right diets, then the embryos who become us, we come out with deficiencies. We've learned that on the continent of Africa, we suffer stunted growth, meaning our brains haven't developed to the extent they should, and then our bodies too. The children who get so stunted, of the whole world, stunted children, that people who come about without proper nutrition, Africa suffers about 1/3 of the whole world. So how can Africa stand up shoulder to shoulder with the rest of the world, Europe, who are being scientific and caring for nutrition well? So that is a problem. Let's look at nutrition. That's where the free maternity care thing came in. How do we get our mothers and our wives to look after themselves, take medical advice, dietary instructions, so even as they take seed, the seeds are prepared to come out with the right size, power of brain and body, so the humans become productive. They can learn better in schools, and then when they develop the muscles, also have strong immune systems to fight diseases. But when you have even produced and you do not take care about your sanitation, filthy areas, we do not sweep, we do not bath ourselves well, then we allow the germs to attack us. The immune systems will go down. And no matter who you are less productive as humans. So sanitation is crucial. But then the trouble is, Accra was planned originally perhaps for a million people. As we sit here now, we are about 6 million people. The planning has not kept up pace with the population explosion. Accra is falling all over now. Go and tell me whether the gutters are made. And Accra happens to be flat land. So as the rains come down the mountains around it, they stagnate here. Mosquitoes, this is the natural habitat of mosquito. And like my friend Isaac said, mosquitoes do not need visa. Before you know, they attack you, malaria comes, and then, So this planning, the governance, we have to take account of this. And then when we talk infrastructure, the laying of proper drainage systems, the roads, the building instructions, the aeration of houses, all these things come in for sanitation. But we seem to be lagging in governance, and we must catch up to be with it. And when you talk of Dumsor, it's the same thing. Akosombo was built with capacity for, is it about 900 or so megawatts? With the extension into Bong, it became like 1,200 megawatts. We added Bui. People do not want to talk about it. Well, with capacity for about 400 megawatts. But now our needs, because we want to industrialize. You can't industrialize without energy. Our needs are still outpacing the energy capacity. And so this is why we need the leadership that would have the vision of where we want to go. You talked of industrialization. You want to be industrialized, stop talking state controls, too much state controls. Socialism is outdated. Communism, go to China. They said communist China. I tell you, the amount of capitalism you see there now, even America is getting nervous about it. How? Because the people, their leaders came to see, if you want to be a leader in the world, you must industrialize. The world has become one market. Produce to sell and grow your wealth. It is only with your wealth you can give the education your people need. You can give the health care your people need. The infrastructure, build your rails, and it's wealth. How do you do it? You must generate wealth. You do not conquer poverty with poverty. We must create the wealth to overcome poverty, make life better for people. So you want to industrialize, the planning should be there, and you see that you do not depend exclusively on the state. After all, what are the resources of a government? Taxes. Unless you want to tax your people into perdition, the taxes should be enlightened. Because you make your economy attractive, and there's money floating around the world looking for a home where it will be invested to generate profit for whoever is bringing the investment, and also to leave some for the destination economy and its people. If a government would set the framework in place, I tell you, the investors would come, make legitimate profits, which the government would then take its fair share from, and at the same time provide the services. If you want to lay a rail system, for instance, or build an airport, or whatever, it's partnership. That's how the world is working now. But then your government should know how to negotiate, so they secure the fair share of the nation for the nation, and allow whoever brought his profit also to go with his margins legitimately. When you do this, it's a chain thing. It's a chain thing. You see that more and more money would come into this country to help us develop fairly legitimate without the corruption we are talking about. Cite examples. Look at Singapore. Everybody talks about it. It's the leadership, the vision. Look at Switzerland. What has Switzerland got? Tiny country, but go there and see the quality of life and development there.
Your message for Ghana now that we are 60.
60, there's so much, I have so much hope for Ghana. And I'm so happy for the last election, because for first time, I'm convinced that the people voted not on basis of parochialism, tribe, religion. So they voted for solutions to problems, the challenges, the poverty, the sanitation, the diseases, the ignorance. Everybody wants quality life. And I believe this is how. These are forging a nation out of otherwise disparate, scattered entities that have not been looking out to where the world is taking us, into the global village of one market, the whole world. China, America, Europe, Africa, we are one market. If we want to be part of it, then we must prime ourselves to be very competitive. It would come with high education, good health, knowing how to be attractive, to attract other people to bring their money here to invest, because it will be profitable for them and it will be profitable for us.
But so far, so good. 60 years for Ghana.
So far, so good. I believe we are in the right trajectory, but I'm not a teacher to give marks in this respect. Only thing is, I'm still hopeful that our country is going the right way. And especially with the last election, I believe now the people are coming to believe that they are really the sovereign authority of this land, and that they would make their leaders work to put us in the right direction.
But looking at the economic indicators, where do you think we are falling short? And governance indicators?
Over borrowing by government and elbowing the private sector away with nuisance taxes and so forth and so on. Now we are identifying all these things, and I'm hoping our government would have the courage of its conviction to implement the laws. And I'm also hoping, because Ghanaians want the transformation, they will share in the vision of the government. And yes, we have to bite the bullets so we get, move in the right direction. We took HAPEC to put Ghana into the middle income level. Without HAPEC, we wouldn't have gotten there. Given the state of the economy then, we can do better now.
Thank you so much for interacting with
Rebekah,
us. It's been a pleasure having you.
Okay.
My name is Rebekah Awuahand, and this show has been produced by Max Sesuf, Phyllis Kofi, and Celestine Avi. We're transmitting live from the residence of former President John Agyekum Kufour. Thank you so much for being a part of this program. We'll see you same time next week.